Imagine this. You wait 8 years for the most hyped game of the decade, and when it finally drops, it's a complete disaster. Glitches everywhere, crashing consoles, and a launch so bad Sony literally removed it from their store. Yeah, we're talking about Cyberpunk 2077. Lately, though, something's changed. Players are giving it a second look, and some are saying it finally lives up to the hype. But here's the real question. Was it enough? Can a game this broken truly earn back the respect it lost? Let's dive in and find out. Back in 2012, when Cyberpunk 2077 was first announced, it sounded like the future of gaming. A dark, gritty open-world RPG set in a dystopian city, made by the same team behind The Witcher 3, people were instantly hooked. But here's the thing, while the reveal happened early, actual development didn't really kick off until 2016, after The Witcher 3 and its final expansion wrapped up. So despite the early hype, they started building this massive world way later than most realized. From the start, the vision was bold. Night City wasn't supposed to be just another game map. It was meant to feel alive. A place where every choice had weight, where freedom wasn't just a feature but the core of the experience. They wanted something that could top even The Witcher 3 in terms of depth and detail. And coming off that success, everyone believed they could do it. CD Projekt Red wasn't just a respected studio. They were seen as the good guys. No shady microtransactions, no lazy cash grabs. Just pure, handcrafted RPG magic. That's why people pre-ordered Cyberpunk without thinking twice, me included. No gameplay footage, no deep dives, just faith. The studio had earned so much trust that even red flags were ignored. If anyone could pull off something revolutionary, it was them, right? But ambition comes with a price. The scale they were aiming for was insane. They wanted dense systems, layered mechanics, real freedom, and all that in just 3 years of active development. For comparison, The Last of Us Part 2 took 7 years, and it was linear. Final Fantasy VII Remake? 5 years, and way smaller in scope. So trying to build something this complex, this fast, was asking for trouble. Behind the scenes, things were a mess. Cyberpunk 2077's development wasn't just ambitious, it was chaotic. The team had big dreams, but leadership kept shifting gears, constantly changing direction mid-project. It was like trying to build a skyscraper while someone kept redrawing the blueprints. Nothing ever felt stable, and years of work got scrapped over and over again. Instead of locking in the core gameplay and polishing what was there, they chased flashy features that looked good in trailers. That famous E3 2018 demo? Mostly smoke and mirrors. It wowed the crowd, sure. But most of what was shown didn't even make it into the final game. And yet, the hype didn't slow down. They brought in Keanu Reeves, dropped bold promises, and went all in on marketing, knowing full well the game wasn't ready. While the trailers were blowing up online, the developers were burning out. Crunch became the norm. 15-hour days, constant pressure, no real end in sight. Morale tanked, and the game suffered for it. Instead of taking time to fix the real problems, leadership doubled down on promos and tried to cover cracks with more delays. The game was pushed back again and again. Fans joked about it online, but deep down, everyone still hoped the wait would be worth it. And here's where things started feeling off. Cyberpunk was supposed to run on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but the footage looked too good, too clean. It was like watching a next-gen game being promised on last-gen hardware. Still, the studio kept reassuring fans that everything was fine. Spoiler, it wasn't. December 10th, 2020, that's the day everything fell apart. After years of hype, Cyberpunk 2077 finally dropped, and it was a train wreck. On PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, the game was straight up broken. We're talking constant crashes, missing textures, bugs that made quests impossible to finish, and performance that felt like trying to run a modern game on a toaster. And even on high-end PCs, things weren't much better. Crashes, missing content, mechanics that just didn't work. It was chaos. People had doubts for months leading up to launch. The game looked way too advanced for old-gen consoles, but CD Projekt Red kept promising everything would run just fine. Internally, though, they knew Night City was too big, too detailed, and way too demanding for those systems. But instead of scaling it down or delaying the launch, they pushed it out the door and hoped for the best. Spoiler: the best never came. The backlash was immediate. Sony pulled the game from the PlayStation Store, something they almost never do, and offered full refunds. Microsoft slapped a warning label on the game's page. Headlines exploded. Social media was flooded with complaints, and behind the scenes, developers scrambled to patch the mess with rushed fixes that barely held things together. What was supposed to be the defining RPG of a generation turned into a global punchline. All the trust CD Projekt Red had built with fans evaporated overnight. And the fallout wasn't just about gamers being angry. It hit the company hard. Stock prices plummeted. Billions were lost. Investors bailed. And the studio, once seen as one of the most respected in the industry, was suddenly fighting to survive its own creation. Here's the crazy part. Even after all the backlash, Cyberpunk 2077 sold like crazy. Just from pre-orders alone, it moved over 8 million copies, and that's wild. Despite the broken launch, despite the refunds, it was still a financial monster. But money doesn't fix a reputation, and at that point, the trust was gone. Most people wrote it off. But the devs, they didn't give up. While the top brass made all the wrong calls, the team behind the scenes kept working. They weren't ready to let the game die. They made a promise to fix it no matter how long it took. And then something unexpected happened. In 2022, the anime Cyberpunk Edgerunners dropped on Netflix, and it blew up. It hit hard emotionally, it looked stunning, and it captured the soul of what Cyberpunk was always meant to be. Suddenly, people who had never touched the game were curious, and the ones who had quit started coming back. By 2023, things really started turning around. The next-gen versions finally landed. And with them came Update 2.0, a full overhaul. Better performance, smarter NPCs, deeper skill systems, and way more refined combat. It felt like a brand new game. But the real game changer? Phantom Liberty. That expansion didn't just add content, it reshaped the whole experience. For the first time, Cyberpunk 2077 actually lived up to the original vision. What started as one of gaming's biggest flops had slowly, against all odds, become a real contender for one of the best RPGs of its generation.
Cover me!
One thing that was never in question, even during the roughest days of launch, was the writing. Cyberpunk 2077 might have been a technical disaster, but the story? That part always had heart. The world was packed with emotional weight, tough choices, and characters that actually made you care. And not just the big names, even random side characters had layers. That's something CD Projekt Red nailed with The Witcher 3, and they brought that same energy here. Some of the side quests in Cyberpunk hit harder than the main story in most other games. But for a long time, those powerful moments were buried under crashes and bugs. Players couldn't fully connect because the game kept getting in the way. Then came Update 2.0, and it changed everything. Suddenly, the technical mess was gone. You could actually explore Night City without your game falling apart. And once that barrier was gone, people started to see what was really there. A world worth getting lost in. Combat got a major upgrade too. Gunfights felt cleaner, stealth was smoother, and the skill system finally made building your character feel meaningful. Whether you wanted to be a hacker, a brute, a ghost, or anything in between, the game gave you the tools to play your way. And then there's Johnny Silverhand. Even when the game was broken, his story stood out. But the real game changer was Phantom Liberty. New story, new stakes, new systems. It made Night City feel deeper, sharper, and more alive than ever. As good as Cyberpunk 2077 eventually became, not everyone got to enjoy the redemption. If you were playing on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, you were basically out of luck. The game never really worked right on those systems. No major updates, no proper fixes, just a broken experience that stayed broken. And unless you upgraded your hardware, there was no way to access the version everyone was finally praising. That hit hard for a lot of people. Some waited nearly a decade, bought in on the promises, and ended up with a version of the game that felt like a cruel joke. It was a reminder that no matter how much a game improves over time, the damage done at launch doesn't just vanish. Now, with Phantom Liberty officially closing the book on Cyberpunk 2077, the big question is, what's next? CD Projekt Red already confirmed they're working on a sequel. And yeah, that sounds exciting. But after everything that went down, there's a lot more skepticism this time around. The studio says they've learned their lesson, that the next Cyberpunk game will be built on a better foundation. But words are easy, and execution is what people care about now. The bar is higher, expectations are sharper, and trust, that has to be earned all over again. And this time, hype alone won't be enough to carry it. So what do you think? Did Cyberpunk 2077 truly redeem itself? Or is the damage too deep to ever fully heal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.